Dismantling the glass. Recap. Dismantling the glass. Piece by piece. Until it all falls. Until it is all complete. Well, it starts where you are. It starts with awareness, being made aware. Where you are. Where are we? In a world where there is a system. In the world where there is a construct depicting it as a globe, depicting it as a body, a house made up of rules, creating by someone's own understanding. Outside of the construct, there is life, but not just any life. It is a free life where natural things grow and thrive. Inside of the construct, there is death, sickness, there is mind control, programming, manipulation, deceiving you into thinking and believing in the person and people who have constructed it, constructed the food that they're handing you, constructing you how to speak and when to speak. And if you don't follow the construct, rules, there will be punishment. So you are in the construct, and someone's creating it by their own understanding, not God's, because God is outside of the construct. He's also outside of the world, outside of the construct, because He created that world. But in that world, there's people that He created, humans, below the clouds on earth, where themselves have created and created, just as they procreate again and again. Having the free will, having the right having the choice. Those same humans choose to play the leader. Those same humans now have control over a system that they created. And in that system, money, paper, something that can be printed, ink, is their power. Now, everything that is free outside of the system, the world, inside of their constructed understanding and their world that they wanted to create, now everything needs to be paid for with this material. The food that you eat, your livelihood depends on this material that they created to have power in the world. And the only way they could have power, since they weren't an actual king or a queen or held true integrity and power and courage, they created a upside down, twisted construct. They made what they call money. They said, you can't eat without working for it, paying for it. Not only that, but you have to work in our buildings, in our houses, almost like you're in our body. You have to work for me. That's what they're saying. You have to work for them. Because are we not working for them? Are we not building up their house, building up their riches, building up their family's legacy, while they are the so called presidents, CEOs that do what? What do they do all day? When we put our time, our energy, our livelihood, work is life. It truly is when you have to eat every day of your life, but every day of your life, food is not free. Now, in the construct created, where the rules and regulations, where they have forbidden almost all natural things, all free things that are in the world created by God, to replace it with a corporation, manufacture, distribution, supermarkets, stores, you call it, now supplying you with all the things that nature supplies. But here's the catch, they're supplying you with genetically modified food, food that they created again. So you have scientists not working for God's understanding and God's ways, but there's scientists working in the other house for the other man, for the mini God in the construct. Now there are not just apples and lemons and potatoes in the supermarket, but there's actually fake food. There's actually scientific created food, lab grown food, experiment on, hybrid food. So you get more of an extra in these corporations, but it isn't more to make you better. It's just more to keep you sick and keep you forgetting, keep you comforted enough after hard work. They say this is comfort food. It tastes so good, it makes you feel so good because of what's in it. Scientists again, what they're putting in it, unnatural, just unnatural. Endorphins, whatever chemicals they're using that are addicting, does something to the psyche, does something to the body, craving it, yearning for it. Scientists, again, not working for God's house. We love those scientists. No, these are the scientists working for the devil, working for the construct, working for the system. The system was put in place to take away what you've known and always knew God to be, God's ways, God's life, to replace it with the many gods world, the many gods ways, and what he can supply you with. And he says he can supply you with longevity. But that's not the way we were created. The beauty and temporary, the beauty and changing naturally. That's just the way God created it. So what's this longevity for? You see, them creating this attempt to prolong life, prolong life in all things, food especially. Brings fear into some folks. It's doing more harm than anything. Because why there need to be longevity? Is there something we should fear by getting older? By things dying? By things just being temporary? If things were just left as it was, as God created it, it would allow us to simply remember and always see that the way of life is supposed to change. It's supposed to evolve. There's a time for everything. There's stages. Nothing ever stays the same. The beauty, the life in that, to go on and go on to another life, to another stage. It would have allowed you to see that this world is just a temporary place. Don't get too comfortable. Don't get too upset. Don't try to end your life or end things. Everything is according to as it was supposed to happen. Only for a time. Only through stages. Only through trials. Not a lifetime. But this was a trial. This was a coming to realization. But we have to stay awake enough to even realize that. So, this trying to create and prolong does more damage to a person psyche. It's made you comfortable where you're at, made you feel like this is life. Because now it's like I don't want to die. I don't want to age. That's what it makes people feel like now that they are trying to prolong life. Making people forget that food in these stores are not normal, should not last long. And though it is, and though we have ingested it, there are consequences for things that are unnatural. Like poison and witchcraft, there are consequences. Yeah, you might get an answer. Yeah. But you're messing with things that ain't good for you in the long run, right? The comfort food feels so good, but then the next day you're bloated. The next day you're big. You blew up. You're swollen. The next day you hear that you got heart problems. Your blood pressure is elevated. Your blood sugar. Because what was in it? What was in this unnatural thing that they're supplying that makes me feel good but is corrupting me, that makes me fall asleep, makes me feel tired, have no energy? But it tastes so good. Which one do I choose? The filling or what I know? Just like we know there's things that can make us feel good, but we know it's not right. We know it's not the best way. What do you choose? A filling? A temporary filling? Or the truth in knowing? We have to choose every day. In the construct until it is dismantled and fallen. Money. Hmm? Money, as I've explained prior, they created money. So, of course, they can take your money. You call taxes. It's never been your money. Whose money is it? The person that created money, created the coin, created the dollar, created currency. So why complain about something that never was yours? Nothing is yours in this world, just like nothing is truly theirs. But if they're creating something, aren't they the owner of it? And if you're borrowing from them, if they're lending you money. So we have debt now. We have loans. You're gonna owe them. They're gonna want their money back because it was never your money in the first place. They said, you want to eat the food that we supply, the food that we make. Because remember, there is no longer natural apple trees because they're gone. They were destroyed. They're cutting them down and replacing it with corporations in these lands on plantations that our ancestors bled and sweat on. By the way, picking natural cotton, at least. Natural in the earth, outside, to only be replaced with manufactured systems. So you're now in these systems, corporations, manufacturing businesses, where food is made, food is created, lab grown food, cloning is happening, clinical trials, scientists working for him. He has his workers, witch doctors, psychologists, judge, priest, firefighters, policemen, nurses, they're all there. Because regardless whether there's a badge, there's still individuals. And then to have certain sectors that they work in, well, that's just clever. So they're all spread out, but they're all working for one house, one master, one body. And now you go to these chains, food chains, because there's no naturalness in sight, because they've taken it away. You can only find it outside the system. Outside the system is wherever you can find life still living. Outside of the system is when you see someone awake and speaking. Dismantling it is being able to see the cracks in the construct. And that is maybe me. That is maybe a real tree still standing strong among all of what is being created on top of it, among it. You're in their places now, the places they constructed in a world that God made. You are now in their houses, working as servants in their corporations, distributing. What are you distributing? Lab grown, modified, hybrid, clone, synthetic, full of pesticides, poisons, all the things that, there again, their philosophers and their scientists and their doctors and all of them now have created terminologies for that. Now we can go in the system of curriculum, the system of academia, to study now these classes that provide you with their ways, their understandings, their created ideologies, their created theories. Now you have these long, from what a naive people sees, wise and brilliant words, very smart words, words that have 16 letters. Like they just threw jumbo letters, all types of letters in one word, because that's what they did. Just like you name a storm, someone's just naming the storm, and that's just what the storm is called now. The dictionary, well, it took someone to make those words, and now we just learn those words in the system. In the system. They're the ones that teach us, raise us, guide us. But people question the system. They question the construct. That is dismantling it. Because no one truly does, do they? Only a couple, only a few. It's hard to truly get through. That's why it's piece by piece. Now, do you see? So, yes, everything you complain about, you will continue complaining about. Everything that has been, it still is. What has improved? Well, we all work together, black, white, green, blue, in the same place. We can all use the same restroom, depending on the gender. Men go into the men's bathroom, biological men and biological women go into the women's bathroom until that until they try to attempt to change that. But my point is, in this construct, you have no rights, but they will say that you do to play the game enough for you to stay sleep, enough for you to stay awake, but not too awake, not too asleep till you can't, to where you can't work. Now some people overdose. You see, some people overdose on it and they go sleep. But most people, we're just balancing it. We're not too awake, but we're not too sleep. We're still we still have the energy to get up and do our labor and eat the poison and do it all over again. But some people eat the poison and overdose on it. And that's when they go, bye bye. That happens. Some people do it deliberately. You don't owe anything. Not in the construct. Outside of the construct in the world, you were given everything. You were owners of the world, head of the world. But now there is only but a man that is the head of all the world and all the people, all the peoples of the world. When the world was given to us, as we should all work together for each other. But now this man doesn't work for everyone. He works for himself and he doesn't do work. But his intentions is for himself. And we do the work. But all of this power is now given to him while we are sucked dry until we're brittle because we are only temporary. So until we grow old and we walk with a limp, and then they say that you can retire, that we'll give you some retirement money. We'll give you some of our money. We'll classify it and say, okay, when you reach 70, you can qualify for retirement. We'll give you a little more of, we can give you some insurance. We give you some more money. We'll call it insurance money. Okay? But you have to be full time and you have to be part time. Okay? We want to give it to the ones that actually work to qualify for our money. Rightfully so. We also want to give you some benefits, maybe some incentives, if maybe just to keep you guys sleep enough, awake enough. What? And then in that, I'm sure you're not paid enough with the money that's theirs. I'm sure you're gonna make a ruckus about how we all need raises. I'm sure you're gonna make a ruckus about how the economy is just tiring and now we're just so caught in debt. It's all mockery. It's all a game. They want you to believe you're in debt because you owe them. But they don't need no money. They create it. They live free. Do you understand? They live outside of the construct. They don't have to be in a system that they created because they wouldn't create the system for themselves. No, they wanted to run the system, run the world. So they run you. What are they doing? Living life. They don't have to pay for nothing. They own everything now. If everything takes material, money, currency, well, they have all the money in the world because they created it. So, of course, they're going to get in for free. Or, of course, with all the money they have, they can afford it. They'll never go broke. They'll never be poor. They'll never be misfortuned. Not when it comes to that material. And as long as that material is the power, right? You hear it, the root of evil, but no, you need to understand what that means. Money doesn't make money can't breathe. It's not evil. It's in the hands of the person. And since because this material has become powerful, because it is made to be able to sustain yourself, right? People now see it as something that we need for life, for us to just breathe, be healthy, because you need the money now for insurance, to have checkups, to make sure that you're healthy. You're healthy. Check your blood work because, oh wait, your levels are unbalanced. You should wonder why, because of the food, the lab grown food, the only food that we have that is given to us by them. Because, wait, we can't find an apple tree. We can't find rice in the field. We can't find potatoes just growing. Natural, pure potatoes, not organic potatoes, natural, grown, godly, fruitful land. Yeah, we're deficient. We're not eating enough greens because we're eating comfort food because we just want to be comforted after all the labor, after misfortune, after being sucked dry. You want to feel something. So now we indulge into drugs, sex, and try to chase the money because money can make our world go round. Money can buy things. Money can make things happen. Money is now become the power, not the root of evil. It's the person that has created it. That's the root of evil because he's rooted this, made it so to be a foundation, but only a fallen foundation, truly. Only a synthetic foundation. Yes. The mini God, the false mini God, the false foundation. But there is a foundation already, and there is a God already. But he is the mini God, and he has a false foundation. He has a foundation. And who's working in his house, doing his works? Well, they're in all types of fields and careers. Of course, because that was part of the construct to have psychologists, priests, teachers. Initially, they're all meaning the same thing. Unless you're just a firefighter, then yes, you put out fires. But when it comes to judges and teachers and philosophers, we're all here to teach and guide. We're not talking about an engineer that can, you know, take apart cars. No, we're talking about like the chiefs of the world, and all of them seem to lead, right? Those fields, those careers, primarily. Of course, in the system, those are his workers. Because in the spiritual realm, or at least in God's ways and in God's creation, he had priests. There was once upon a time priests appointed by God, but now the many God and his construct wants to appoint his priests. Yeah, he might have been himself one of God's priests. So he knows all about God's foundation and wanted to construct his own. So you have his his workers, the war between good and evil, the spiritual war happening physically and spiritually in the earthly bodies and in the heavenly bodies, because it was bigger than you. It was bigger than this world. It happened before. You're just born into it and continue on procreating in it. Never learning the lesson, never realizing, never coming to understanding truly, never coming to wake up, choosing also to sleep. No, 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 no. 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 You are not winning the war. You are not making it easy for your children's children's children. And you will die in misery, in slavery. So be it. That's what you'll eventually end up as, a zombie. So stop thinking that this is not enough. Dismantling it is speaking about it. There is a God. There is a God that is listening into the world. He sees every generation and every person in this construct, whether they're trying, whether they've given up, whether they don't care. He sees and he hears them. Just as he hears and sees the children of the world cries and screams and wishes. How could this not be enough when there is a God? When this is a bigger war than anything in this world? That you're spiritual. You're not just a human being. And to forget that is misery. To think that because you can't see the invisible things, they don't exist. But you were once invisible. You can be when you pass on. My granny has passed on. Does that mean she never existed? And now that she doesn't exist from my eyes, in the physical body, in the natural body, I'm supposed to not believe. But no one ever explains it or speaks of it to make sense of it. Because what are you really saying? What do you think you know? Because I don't think you know the basic. And no one's choosing to rehearse these things day and night. It could be all so simple. We could all just wake up and dismantle the glass to see the fallen construct, that it was never built on strong foundations, that we ourselves are the pillars that hold the construct up. And we are the people that are the same ones that complain about how they're treating us, how they're feeding us, how they're destroying us, how they're trying to change us, how they're implementing unruly and unjust and inequality into the world, becoming now what we all say it is, darkness. Right? Because what is darkness? Darkness falls. Okay, well, all the things you see, all the things you hear, see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. Yeah, what are those things? Well, see through the peephole and see what has happened. What's in the peephole? You're living in it. All the things you don't and you hate about this world. You can't stand it. You sense it when you're at work. You sense it when you're at home. You sense it when you're around people. You sense it when you're by yourself in the silence. You sense it when you're in the shower and you choose not to play your music. You can sense it. But instead, we turn up the music. We turn the music on. We turn the TV on. We sleep with it on. We don't want to hear it. The truth, the thing that's right in front of us in plain sight, that's calling us, that's so strong, that's just poking, tugging. And it ain't good. It ain't no good feeling, is it? No, because this world we living in, the reality of it isn't good. But we don't want to hear it because wait, we have work in the morning. We got work tonight. I ain't got time for it because it's gonna suck my energy. And I already need enough energy to be a peasant, to be a servant. And still don't have enough energy for that. Because not only do you have to serve one person, you have to serve many. And not only that, the customer, the patient is always right. How about that? How about that? And they want to say work is not life, but you have to work your whole life. And they know that the lifespan of a person, especially with all the lab grown meat, all the lab grown fruit, all the lab grown vegetables now, you can't trust nothing. You can't see, but you know these things, know to see them. That dang, I can't even go into again, these distributions, these laboratories, these houses ran by these workers that work for who? Work for their father, the one that created the construct. I can't even go into these places and trust that this lemon is actually real. Because wait, these are clones. These are modified. And even if it is real, they've been sprayed with pesticides. My God. And doesn't it seep into it? Doesn't it have pores? Isn't it alive? Just like anything we put on our skin, it's going to seep in. I think that's the whole purpose. Why spray pesticides on the surface just for it to be on the surface? When what's within is the benefit, what we ingest. But, you come into these places, you need to expect it. When you use their money, you need to understand whose hand it's coming from and who owns it. And so they say they own you even though they never do. And that is why they tell you you have the power. But you forget it, and you forget it because the fear blinds you. Even though we have the power, they still own us. They own us because of fear. They own us because we feel that we depend on them, that we need their money. But their money was only created for them to have power. Their money was only created for us to be a slave, to be enslaved. Because now we think that we need it. When will we ever be free? Well, until Jesus comes back. But when will we ever truly be free? Well, we can dismantle it. We can do what we need to do, what we can do while we wait for him. But to see he's delayed, to see why, man. And to see when he looks into this world, to see why he says no one, I tell you, no one is awake. Well, why do you think he says that when he's looking in the world? What is he expecting to see then? And why is he so delayed to understand why he is? Because when he looked into the world, he seen no one awake. He seen no one trying to understand. He seen no one questioning the construct, questioning man. But instead, they question him. They question the creator. They question the truth. They question God. They yell at my father. They hate my father. They curse my father. They turn away from father. When only a man has done this. And you had the power and the choice and the free will to fight back because we have the power. We are the ones that still elect them. We are the ones electing these mayors, these governors, these presidents. We are the ones funding these corporations by working for them. We are the ones that keep funding these institutes and programs by going to them. We supply them with money and jobs by thinking that we need them to teach us, to lead us. But if we stop going to these programs, to these corporations, do you see how you break the glass? But you see, it takes all of us. Because if it's just a few of us, they'll just fire us. Nothing will truly change. Do you understand? Because if it's just a few people that leave, well, they're going to recruit a few more people. Just a few more. Because those same people that they just recruited, they don't care. They don't see, they don't understand, they don't want to. Because the whole point of stopping, striking, is for change. But more than that, is to never go back to those chains again. That this was the fall of them. That this was to give them a dose of their poison. That this was for them to do their own work for once, build their own selves up. We've been building them. And they just been getting higher in status, higher in wealth, higher. And we've been what? Dying, getting sick, needing them, insurance. And then they mock you and they say, well, you don't qualify for insurance, but you work for them. But they want you to be full time. They want to know that you're working every day. They mock you and say that, well, we'll give you some insurance, but you got to pay for it and it'll come out your paycheck. It ain't for free. It ain't just given just because you working. Dismantling the glass piece by piece to see. You can see through it. Doesn't take you physically to have to figure out these things. No, you can know to see these things. That is the truth in you, and the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. And I'll leave it there.